Welcome to the third episode of the Stick It to the Man podcast. I'm joined with Anna Franklin. Anna, if you just kind of want to give us a little bit about yourself, kind of how you got into the industry, what you're currently doing, that would be amazing.
Okay. I came to the industry quite late. I've sort of done it the other way around to most women, because a lot of women, have their career and then they have a family, have their children and then stop. And I actually didn't start working professionally until after I'd had my son when I think I was 39 or 40 when I started. Um, and yeah, there's many reasons for that. Briefly, I when I was younger, 20 years ago, 25 years ago, I just sort of assumed that I wouldn't be good enough to do it. So I didn't pursue it as a career. And it wasn't until I was older and I got my first professional job that I sort of realized on the first day in the rehearsal room, actually, I feel like I do belong here and I can do it. And so yeah, and I've worked since then. So I feel very lucky because I did sort of 20 years of community that's good community theatre. I'm absolutely blessed in my area with really, really good community theatre. And I did 20 years of working really hard on theatre for free. So I feel extremely privileged now to be able to do it for a job. And I love every second and appreciate every second of it.
What would you say kind of inspired your love for theatre? Was it when you were younger? Was it, did you go to the theatre loads when you were younger? Was it the people you were surrounded by? And also, I guess, because you've obviously come to it slightly later, what inspired you to kind of take the jump and go professional with it?
So as a child, my dad used to take us to the West End every year at Christmas to see a West End show. So we saw Phantom and Cats and Barnum, saw Michael Crawford in Barnum. This is all probably in like the late 80s. And I just always loved, I would go home and I would it's going to be a bit embarrassing. I would endlessly listen to those soundtracks and I would dress up in my room and like sing along to them and act them out. And it was just for me and I just always loved it. But I never really thought of it as a career choice because the landscape now in terms of diversity and what we see represented on screen and on stage in terms of body diversity and gender and race and all of those things, back in the 80s and 90s, that was very, very narrow. And I've always been plus sized. And you didn't see people like me. You didn't have Melissa McCarthy or Lizzo, or you didn't just see different body types represented. So I just went, oh, well, that's not for me. That they won't want me. So I never really saw it as a career choice. I started, I suppose, when I was about 16, I think. My friend was auditioning for the school play and I went along with her and I got the lead role. And I thought, oh, I really love this. Maybe I can do it. But I think the lack of diversity and representation, I studied, instead of going to drama school, I did a combined degree of English and drama. Oh, sorry, excuse me, pneumonia. um, I, but I didn't really take it seriously as a career choice because I was quite British about it, and I just assumed, oh, well, they won't want me, I won't be good enough. So basically, I just started working and just doing loads of community theatre, and I was absolutely blessed with the community theatre locally. It was really, really good. So I had really, really good opportunities, did loads of good work, and just learnt loads of stuff over 20 years. And then an opportunity came up. After I'd had my son and I'd stopped working full time. So I had the time and this opportunity came out. It was Moving Stories, Romeo and Juliet. Um, and I thought, oh, I'll audition for that and see if I get in. And I got in. And as I said earlier, on the first day, I went in quite trepidatiously thinking, oh, am I going to be good enough to do it? And I very quickly felt actually that I was competent. And then I did the same thing again to myself. I nearly shot myself in the foot because, as you know, I've done years and years of community theatre with your dad, who had a fantastic community theatre company. And then when OVO then went professional and did their first fully professional production, which was in August 2020. And I was so silly because I'd literally just done 12th Night with them. And they put out this casting call and it was the fully professional paid model. And I went, oh, they won't want me. And I didn't actually put in for it because I thought they wouldn't want me. And I'm so stupid. And God love your dad, he gave me a ring. And I got into the show, and I've been working for them ever since, which has been wonderful. But I could kick myself just for being so silly and not believing in myself, and I still have to give myself a shake now and go, no, you can do it. You are good enough, you know. But yeah, I've just sort of had a lifetime of just not feeling quite good enough. Yeah, trying
You
to shake myself out of it.
do you think, because obviously kind of the whole the reason I'm doing this is because I want to raise the profile and give like women the voice, because obviously all industries, but I think especially the theatre industry is very male dominated at the top. You know, if you look at all the big artistic directors and in film and TV and stuff as well, it's quite often male dominated. Do you feel that your gender has maybe not even necessarily disadvantaged you, but perhaps impacted how you've approached the industry or how you've operated or gone about putting yourself in for roles and stuff? Have you felt that, or have you been kind of, you know, it's just part of who you are?
I've never found my gender to be a disadvantage, I have to say. I've felt slightly disadvantaged by my body type sometimes, but never my gender. But then I've been lucky enough to do a lot of work with your dad, who is a feminist, and he's given me a number of cross-gender roles, which I've really enjoyed. You know, like Lady Toby Belch and Leonata in Much Ado About Nothing. So I've had the great opportunity to play those cross-gendered roles, and I've never felt sort of disadvantaged in that way.
Do you think that the industry is kind of moving more towards that, like kind of gender fluidity and kind of yeah, like cross-sex casting stuff? And do you think that's like a positive thing? I mean, obviously for you, you probably do because you've from that. But do you think that's something that you'd like to kind of see continued in the future?
Definitely. I love that. I love the gender blind, race blind. One of my favourite Rosalinds I ever saw was a really tall man playing opposite a really tiny female Orlando. I mean, and I went into it thinking a bit skeptical, this great big man, has he given me, but he just was her, and he was wonderful, and he totally connected, you know, with his performance, and it was beautiful, and I love to see that, and you know, long may it continue. There's some people who think that you should only play, you know, like only black actors should play black roles, and only gay people should play gay roles, and only trans people should play trans roles. And I don't agree with that, because I think as an actor, your job is to inhabit the skin of somebody else. So it doesn't matter what's on the outside, as long as you're inhabiting what's on the inside and connecting with the truth and conveying that and connecting that with the audience.
Yeah.
Kind of a bit wanky, yeah, sorry.
Um, if you, it's really hard to obviously pinpoint. I was like, when I've been asking other people this, I'd be like, oh, I've been thinking like, oh, I don't know how to answer this. But if you had to kind of pinpoint one highlight of your career, not necessarily even professional, or one project that you've really loved working on, or has been like a real turning point for you in terms of confidence or connections or just experience, can you kind of think of one or maybe two that like jump out to you?
You too.
Okay.
You too. One is Merry Wives, because it was lockdown year, and it was the first, you know, nobody had been able to work, all the theatres had shut down, it was really bleak, and then we did the open air Merry
Yeah.
Wives with a socially distanced audience, and we were just so happy to be working, and it was just so joyful to create this, and it's a really silly, funny,
Yeah.
fun production. It was really upbeat and happy, and we were just so happy to be out and working. The other one was it's also lockdown themed. It was Winter's Tale down at the Minack,
Yeah.
and we did that. That was 2021, and we'd done it at our Roman Theatre, and then we took it down to the Minack. And the first couple of nights, I think the first 2 nights, the first one night or 2 nights at the Minack, it was still a socially distanced audience. So you've got the big, I think it's about 750
Yeah.
seats, isn't it? And it
Yeah.
wraps up around you. It's this incredible auditorium. It's really intimate, even though it's so big. And the first couple of nights, it was socially distanced, so it was about half capacity. And then I think the second or third night, it was Freedom Night, you know, when everything opened
Yeah.
up. And it was a full house, and it was just the most amazing. We all came off stage and cried, because at the end of the show, you know, get to the end of the show, do the big song and dance number, and then finish. And it was the audience just as a whole just stood up,
Yeah.
and we had this incredible reception, and it was just like we were all there together, sharing this experience after the kind of weirdness of the
Yeah.
pandemic. and it was just incredible. And yeah, we all just came off stage in floods of tears. It was like just really emotional. So that was a pretty amazing moment. Yeah.
Yeah. Have you got like a particular show that you've seen that you loved as well? Is there any that like stick out to you? I know for me it would probably be Hamilton. I'm like obsessed with Hamilton. But is there any like that could be a musical, could be a play that you feel has really like impacted you and been like, wow, that's amazing?
I do have a sneaking fondness for all the musicals. I do love Hamilton. I quite love like the old school ones. Like Les Miserables was always a
Yeah.
massive favourite of mine. I feel like I've got Madame Thénardier in me one of
Yeah,
these days.
I can see that. Yeah.
If I ever get my voice back after this pneumonia.
Yeah, I definitely see that. Um, Kind of to like round up then, if you had to pick one inspiration, it could be someone in the industry, it could just be someone in your life. You're kind of, yeah, someone that's really inspired you to pursue acting, to kind of go into the industry, and has kind of like, you know, boosted your confidence and made you yeah, kind of want to pursue your job. What would that be?
I think it's probably Melissa McCarthy, because she's shown that you know, she started off doing just the comedy roles, which you often get if you're a plus sized actor. But she's gone on to show that you can do leading roles where your body shape isn't even mentioned or referred to. And she's, you know, a Hollywood A-lister, and she is just magnificent. So that's because it's just so important to see yourself represented, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, I love her.
I think it's so lovely that like we're kind of moving away from, you know, like the girl's body, like if it's a plus size actress playing the lead, it's like, oh, it's a big deal that she's plus size. I think it's quite nice that, I mean, it's still very much um like I watched a film the other day and the girl was plus size, and like the whole film was about how like she could still find love even though she was plus size. And it just seemed really outdated to me. It was only
Really
about
annoying
5
and
years old,
outrageous.
but yeah, but
Because
I
you
was
know,
like,
people exist, you know, people who have different body types exist and do all the same things that other people do, you know. I mean, I'm a plus size person, I'm a working actor, I'm a wife, I'm a mother, I'm all of the norm, I'm just a
exactly.
normal person, you know. It's completely irrelevant that I'm fat, you know. Just,
But like
like,
it
get
was
over
just
it.
like it really was kind of like shocking to me. I was like, oh my God, this seems so old and it's like less than 5 years old. I was like, what even like what? I was yeah. But
Isn't
I
it? Your
think
generation is so brilliant, and you're doing such good work, like in terms of diversity and including everybody. Like when you see a disabled actor now on the
yeah,
telly and their disability isn't referred to, it's
no,
irrelevant. They just
yeah,
happen to
exactly.
have one arm, you know, and
Exactly.
it's not the story. It's not who they are isn't completely reduced to that thing about them, you know.
Exactly.
And
And
I
I
think that's what your generation has got so right. My generation were rubbish at that.
yeah, I think that's really important, obviously, that that carries on because actually, like as you said, it's whether you're plus size or in a wheelchair or black, like it's just it doesn't matter. Like it really is like the least interesting thing about you. Like it honestly, it doesn't matter at all, obviously.
Yeah, and there's
Um,
just so many different types of people. It's just important to just see everybody represented.
exactly. So to kind of round off, this is like your moment to plug yourself. What have you got going on at the moment? What are you working on? Any future projects? Anything you're hoping to be involved in the future? This is like your time to advertise yourself to everyone.
I've been penciled for a film next week, which
Okay.
yeah, so that's quite exciting. But my main thing that I'm looking forward to is spending the summer working on Merry Wives, which is a revival of that much loved show that we did in 2020. So I love that show, and
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to being with that team and doing that show again. So that's going to be just a summer of joy and
Yeah.
delight for me. Yeah.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for agreeing to be on my podcast. It's been really interesting to have a chat. And yeah, thank you so much for being
Having me.
on.